fight the power like Big Chuck.
What's the status, 3?
I'm good, just making the world a better place, that's all.
The Bakushi is the master of illusion. And if everyone believes the illusion, it becomes reality. Bakushi thinks he's won the game, but he didn't count on a pinch hitter.
All is continuous vibration, always in motion. Conductor of energy, a salt in the ocean. Serpent is the sine wave, polarities interwoven. A chemical sorcery, elixirs and potions. Resonant frequencies, molecular explosions. Your daily programs is heavy doses of hypnosis. People walk around blind even though their eyes are open. No time for ideological salesmen with biblical notions. That box in your room, televised lies through your vision. It doesn't matter your race, status, or religion. No longer have to beat you when your mind is locked in prison. That food is filled with toxins, it's why you can't think clear. Illusion of choice is your option while keeping all in fear. Load up all your weaponry, the revolution is here. I said load up all your weaponry, the revolution is here.
We ain't in the same place, or occupy the same space. So get the fuck out my face.
In the instant I changed the mission with photosynthesis. Witness the synthesis, rip it in this on instruments. Feel the frequency, energy off this Hennessy synergy. Literally those that take us to infinity. Reading articles, all is horrible, calling audibles. I'm remarkable, I shot a fed at a carnival. Dust and particles, follicles gon' be everywhere. Heavy pair of some pistols, I shot them holding that teddy bear. Fuck the system, let's keep it simple, let's raise the temple. Make them triple while you're going to where they all assemble. Not Avengers, I'm the Avenger, I seek the injure. Kept my temper till I stuck the hidden blade up in them. Fuck the ruler, here's what they doing to you. Poison water in the food is what you put into you. I'm the shooter with new maneuvers. Caught back to Ruger, super trooper. He is gonna need a pooper scooper. The revenge of Montezuma. Rockin' my Pumas, uppercut like a Kuma, sending you straight to Luna. Cosmic verses from universes on new excursions, emerging the virgin. I pull the back, the iron curtain. War leaders are war eaters, born cheaters, war sneakers, rearrange their core features. Born reaper, hurricane, the sword keeper, form ether, burn all of the mold geezers. Up in government, parliament, bitch, I'm tarnishing arguments, ain't no bargaining, throw a bomb in the audience. I'm the guardian, strangle all in the cardigan, rearrange the universe, I am the artisan.
We ain't in the same place, or occupy the same space. So get the fuck out my face.
As a king, fighting the spirit of Mesa King, vibing to my queen, playing the tambourine, while I'm eating the tangerine. My plasma was replaced with gasoline, got the blood of the Elohim, manifesting through a dream, a shit you never seen. I got the eyes of Medusa, and the hands of Wolverine, astral project with my inner being. We locked in the inner ring, hoping the Anunnaki intervene. While the world is under siege, they got an abyss under the sea, living underneath. Lightning struck me standing under a tree while I was crumbling weed, and the angel swooped down, put me under her wing. Now she shields me from my desires the devil brings. Say my name in vain and you will never bleed. Say my name in vain and you will never bleed.
The Bakushi is the master of illusion. And if everyone believes the illusion, it becomes reality.
Domain expansion.
Road One Production.
Welcome to the abyss. The unstoppable one. I am the illest, no doubt. Sporadic, eternal fire. There is no putting me out. I'm
What's good, everyone? I think I put it wrong. Hurricane said, I call my gun Michael Knight because it comes with a kit. That's a good line. That's fucking dope. La, 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 la. Peace, Dom. Fools and Tools, S. Yeah, this book's pretty long, but it gets more and more interesting. Because it's getting into resources also from the earth. And Viktor Schauberger, Schauberger. No, seriously, he kind of goes in a little bit. We already read it, some of it, but he should probably touch base with it again about the resources, right? How they make money off of it, and how it's detrimental in the process to Mother Earth. And not only it dries up the springs, he said, by cutting trees, many different things, getting oil, gas, whatever you're going to probe the earth to, it's going to create pollution for the water, like all sorts of shit. And it's a sad attitude to have, people in these positions that just don't give a fuck because it won't affect their future. So they're like, whatever, and when Trump collapses, I'm just going to say this before I start reading in a minute. I called it. Trump, this is the last trumpet blow. And Trump's going to crash this fucking dollar, I'm telling you. There's some rough times coming. My friend has a garden. He bought 8 chickens. You ever pick a chicken up? I sure as fuck wasn't going to try. He's like, you want to pick them up or pet them? I'm like, do I look stupid? Because they jump up and spread their wings, and their claws are fucking nothing to play with. That's why, because of their style fighting, that's why people who fight chickens, they put razors on their feet. Now, I would put a razor on a chicken's foot and teach you how to attack people like burglars. But I don't, all that chicken fighting and stuff, nah. But I asked him, I said, what about your garden? Do you get the seeds and keep the cycle going? And he said, no, he just buys seeds every year. I said, because he said the purpose, if shit hits the fan, he'll have stuff growing. I said, but what are you going to do when shit hits the fan? You won't be able to buy seeds again. Now what? I told him, you better start germinating or learning. Because depending on these people, we're going to wait and see, because Doge Boy over there said Trump's bill is going to crash the dollar, or crash our whatever. We're going to see. I think it's gonna. Yep. Trump's true colors is coming out. I try to tell people, he might have done a couple good things just because they have to, or they don't, but to make it more believable for the fools, yes, they'll do a few good things, but for the most part, Trump's gonna do as told, man. He acts tough and hardcore, but that dude's soft as a fucking cotton nugget. But yeah, let me get reading, man. Hold on. Let me smoke some cigarette real quick. I gotta smoke a cigarette so I could breathe better. So I think this is part 5. Hold on, I gotta put my air on. It's way too hot here. How's the weather out everywhere else? It's like 90 degrees here already. Hopefully this won't be too loud. I'm gonna let it cool down, I'll turn it off. If anyone wants to hear Sir Drop music or Hurricane JW's music, their channel link is in the description all the time. You can get directly to their music in their well, it won't be direct. You got to go to their playlist. I'm gonna, you know what, I should change it. Yeah, you know, I can't do everything for everyone. Just go to the channel and find it. I was gonna put the playlist link, but trust me, you won't be disappointed. Maybe people don't like my rhymes. That's fine. It's not for everyone. But you might like Drops or Hurricane. I just say for the people who don't like my rhymes, I bet you can't write a rhyme. 1 and 2, I'll battle you any day. And I'm not even a battle rapper. I'll still smoke boots right off your feet. I don't battle people, but I just say the most disrespectful shit. That's all I'll do. I remember when battle rap first started. It was man, back then you had to go like to New York City and you had to go to the most roughest spots and battle for the most part. Not like today where shit's soft. Back then you had to really put in work. On foot, on train. But it's kind of good that way, and it's not good. It's good in a way because it'll give you the hunger for your hustle, right? And it'll give you a fan base. Just like any hustle, it'll set you up for the long run. All right. Let's go. All right, let me set this up like this. Can y'all hear me? I was weeding out the people who don't really want to hear me read. So I took a little bit. I don't care if there's nobody in here. I'm going to get started anyway. No one answered me, so. What's up, Jay Heighton? How you doing, bro? Can you hear me? All right, where did I leave off? All right, let me turn that off. It ain't that hot. If I get too hot, let's turn it on. All right. Viktor Schauberger, The Fertile Earth, Part 5. Naturally, even if it proceeds in the proper manner, every interaction must decomposition occurs. Whoa. Oops, let's rewind that. Naturally, even if it proceeds in the proper manner, every interaction must finally come to an end, resulting in a complete reversal of the process. A re-decomposition occurs. Therefore, the more correctly the formation proceeds, the slower, and hence for humanity, the more the more advantageously the decomposition takes place. This fact is the great significance in relation to such substances as metals and timber, for example, which serve as raw material for man-made products. However, if the interaction is exposed to any disturbing outside influences, or if the organism's formative process are disturbed, this decomposition will set in before the ultimate objective is reached, i.e., before the time when the interaction would normally cease. We can perceive the causes of this in two different types of formation. In one case, the termination of this energetic interaction, which, for example, we can observe in various structures and living systems we find in nature, manifests itself in such a way as to redirect or rearrange the formative pathways, capillaries, or rivers. Because of this, essential high-grade substances, which are not easily transported, can no longer be distributed correctly. In other cases, the disintegration or decomposition of the developmental pathways, capillaries, ensues. Hence, the circulation of that substance is brought to a standstill, which is the carrier of the decisive raw materials, and which we describe as water, blood, sap, etc. According to the location in which it moves, the usual end product of such an interaction is the sedimentation of the body's capillaries, which in the animal kingdom is represented by sclerosis. Wow. It says which in the animal kingdom is represented by sclerosis. In the vegetable kingdom by resinification, resin or resinification, something like that. It's the vegetable kingdom by resinification, and in the so-called ignorant world by calcination. The phenomenon only occurs when carbons are present in sufficient quantity. However, if these substances are missing and a concentration of oxygen occurs due to abnormal temperature influences, then in the absence of sufficient sheathing material, protective lining, the oxygen attacks the wall surfaces of the vessels, since these are composed of carbonous matter. Ultimately, these vessels are either weakened to such an extent that they burst, or direct manifestations of decay and unnatural growth develops in the familiar form of cancerous tumors. In these transformations, the extent which radiant emissions play a role, which are themselves a product of these processes, will be addressed in more detail in a later article. In every respect, contemporary practice of science and technology operate in opposition to the correct and hence positive process of formation and development. For this reason, very advanced processes of degeneration that have long remained unnoticed will inevitably begin to surface everywhere. These are now assuming such catastrophic proportions that everything is beginning to suffer from them. We shall therefore become more and more consciously aware that we are not concerned with a world crisis here, but with the complete collapse of everything we have come to call culture. This is wild, man, because this is happening right now. This book's, I'm going to find out when the date of this book is. It has to be, this dude died in 1950, so 50-something. If these manifestations of collapse have actually reached such a stage today that any possible recovery is in doubt, it is because the strictly regulated correlation between quantities and qualities has already been so totally dislocated. It is also because really monstrous mistakes are being made everywhere. In view of this chaos of errors and insanities, attention should be drawn to two extremely dangerous factors. These are our electrical machines and the practical application today. Where are authorities really to understand the true nature of electricity? Then our present-day hydroelectric power stations would be forbidden by law. The same would also apply to radio and the present use of shortwave radiation, X-rays, in medicine. Out of substance totally foreign to them, water, our science and technology are creating a product, the nature of which is even more unknown to them. Under certain preconditions, the carbons of whatever variety present in water, which conforming to natural law, are inversely proportional to the oxygen likewise present, are precipitated from water or hydrogen and are replaced by oxygen. The third metabolic process between the basic elements contained in water is a question of the thermodynamic process taking place in it. Apart from the usual outside influences, these are also dependent upon the type of movement of the water itself. For example, if the carrier of these two basic elements, carbon and oxygen, namely the water, is caused to rotate over rapidly by the blades of turbines, then it exceeds its so-called critical velocity and breaks. The carbons are then precipitated. Behind the blade, a vacuum is created. The specifically heavier oxygen is the first to reach the undersurface of the blade and is there dispersed mechanically. Due to the particular temperature gradient provoked by this event, corrosion occurs on the underside of the blade in such a severe form that finger-sized holes are created, which very quickly render the turbine blade totally useless. This phenomenon is again attributable to the exceptional interactions of energy, which occur through the direct contact between the carbons, turbine blades, and the oxygen, the later having become almost carrierless owing to the high rotational velocity. Similar processes are evident in the high-pressure boilers of ocean-going ships and inter alia inter alia, in the widely known CASHAPP, the CASHAPP cure, which is nothing more than an energetic charging of the body in the form of a weak electric current. Huh. It's like, let me look that up. The CASHAPP. Interesting. Man, I live with people that don't even. Damn. Hold on. Alright, I lost my spot. Hold on, how does it do that? Anyway, similar processes are evident in high pressure boilers and ocean going ships, and inertia alia in the widely known CASHAPP cure, which is nothing more than an energetic charging of the body in the form of a weak electric current, induced when cold dewdrops on the grass are wiped off by the feet of a body warm from bed. Okay. Whatever you say. However, to return to the theme of hydroelectric machines, the first task of the water discharge from the outlet pipe is to restore its inner state of equilibrium, lost through the precipitation of its carbons. The water greedily absorbs oxygen from the air. This process, however, is only the means to an end, which is the replacement of the lost carbons. With the one set of night cooling, wherein it actually becomes heavier, and with the additional assistance of the surplus oxygen, water must either sink down or infiltrate through. And infiltrate through the riverbanks and into the ground. through the drainage and seepage of these heavily oxygenated water masses. A temperature gradient is created, which is strongly negative from the water towards the surroundings, and conversely, strongly positive from the environs. No, this can't be right. Hold on. Yeah. Environs. I gotta look this up. It better be a definition. Hold on. Man, I lost my spot again, yo. All right. Once this interaction has terminated, then the groundwater has a certain extent lost its inner state of equilibrium again, owing to the removal of carbons and the accretion of oxygen due to the interaction described above, in conjunction with the reduction in temperature, thus caused the ground temperature gradient also reverses during the night, leading to a further interaction in a vertical plane. Having been depleted physically, so to speak, due to the lateral withdrawal of the carbons, the over-oxygenated groundwater now sinks. These processes are the true cause of the sinking of the groundwater table, now increasingly evident throughout the whole Central Europe. In this way, it is inevitable that formative substances absolutely essential for the growth of all vegetation, namely carbons rising from the earth with water, will in the end be entirely incorrectly distributed and deposited. This will result in the ever more widespread degradation of our native soil. Ultimately, it will not even be able to provide our daily bread, for the simple reason that with our technical equipment, we have not only halted the influx of raw materials required for all existence, but we have actually transformed them into negatively acting decompositive substances. And it says notes. 1. Here, original also means form or structure originating, or form or structure bestowing motion. Okay, it says source. In Viktor Schauberger's writings in German, the prefix UR is often separated from the rest of the word by a hyphen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even pronounce the UR. I go straight to the word. So is that what they're going to talk about here? I'm going to skip that. I just don't want to talk about hyphens and shit. Okay. By this, he intends to place a particular... See? No. The Oxford Dictionary, blah, blah, blah. How do I get past this? Let's see. There are all these definitions for ethericities. I hate that word. Ethericity. ethericities. That word's crazy. Damn, so this is all the, I wonder how long this goes for all these definitions. Here we go. The formation of structures. The safe lifetime, therefore, the stability of a dam is not only a question of correct static calculation. Rather, it is dependent on the influences of temperature exerted on the wall by the surrounding air and water strata. If through outside influences a negative temperature gradient is established in a dam wall, or if the temperature of water particles in it derives from plus 4 degrees Celsius, which is plus 39 degrees Fahrenheit, then a captivating action as differentiated from a sedimenting action takes place. The latter occurs in the wall when the water particles present in it approach a temperature of plus 4 degrees Celsius, positive temperature gradient. Captivating action in the enlargement of pores and thus the loosening of the wall structure through dissolution and leaching of certain salts at certain temperatures, whereas sedimenting action is the sealing of the wall structure, pores and voids through internal deposition of certain salts due to a particular movement of temperature. Degradation or amelioration of the wall structure is thus dependent on the relative proportions between periods of positive and negative temperature gradients inside the dam wall. The type and duration of the respective movements of temperature is a question of location, general climate conditions, and principally the orientation of the wall, direct or indirect influence of the sun. In the dam wall, therefore, the very same phenomena are manifested. And it just says the influence of temperature and water movement on forestry, water resources management, and formation of structures. It says from wow, this is a crazy last name, Waz. From and then his last name is Waz. I shit you not, but he had 2 S's. Wazer Wirtschaft. Wazer Wirtschaft. This can't be real, man. This cat got a wart on his shaft. His name's Waz Wirtschaft. I shit you not, man. They tore this guy up in school with jokes. Oh, man. They must have ate this guy for a Scooby snack. Trying to copy his name, but it won't let me. What? Why is it? Hydrology. What? Oh, phenomena are manifested that occur in nature. That's why I continued. For instance, in the erosion of mountains under the sun's influence, negative temperature gradient, and their reformation with the exclusion of the sun, and under the influence of the low temperatures. To a certain extent, these are present in the oceans and in Earth's interior, positive temperature gradient. Coming into being and passing away are therefore a question of a hitherto ignored, unrecognized form of temperature movement in bodies. This movement is the legitimate consequence of the anomalous character of water, whose significance has still not been evaluated. The formation and destruction of rock, walls, and such like, however, is not the only area in which this plays a major role. Because of the anomalous condition of water, the organic or inorganic development of the structure will either be changed or altogether created. Thus, both the lifetime of a dam, wall, and even of the respective structure. This includes the plant kingdom too, and the reproductive capacity of living things. The existence of all bodies and products of nature is hence a question of the way in which water moves, whether it is a correct form of movement according to natural principles or an incorrect form that takes place in its inner circulation through the earth. Thus, the energy form A of water movement, which is one instance represents the affirmation of life, and in other it's a negation, and the other its negation is a function F of the water's hitherto neglected temperature gradient. It says A equals F TG. FTG, I like it. A equals F with a parenthesis, TG parenthesis. Anyway, what page am I on? 61. It is well known the water is the carrier of certain nutrient salts at certain water temperatures, but under one particular temperature gradient, these salts will be dissolved, under another transported, and under a third deposited. The type of temperature movement, the temperature gradient, and hence the effect of the energy of water in the earth. The body of the living creature plays a greater role than that has been so far assumed in relation to vegetation and the essential supply of nutritive material from the earth's interior. Logically, the forms of temperature movement of water within the earth and other bodies, however, is once again merely a question of the possibilities for direct or indirect radiation by the sun. Therefore, it is a question of associated climate or climatic conditions, and this naturally encompasses the disposition of mountain ranges and intervening valleys. I ain't gonna lie, he got a little bit boring on this part. The temperature associated processes mentioned above are responsible for the supply of nutrients to the Earth's surface, through which the very existence of any vegetation is made possible. Once established, vegetation, then able to moderate extremes, direct solar radiation at any given altitude. Through low temperature caused by strong evapotranspiration or transpiration. In the mountains, where the need is greatest, this counterbalancing function and the especially important retention of groundwater on steep slopes can only be achieved by a healthy forest, appropriately graduated according to altitude, area, age, and species. Without these preconditions, and without taking the overall climatic conditions, the situation and state of the forest into account, there can be no healthy condition of water or its orderly distribution. Hence, there can be no profitable use of upland areas for agricultural purposes. This problem will naturally be all the more critical the higher the situation and the more extreme the climate. In these locations, hard winters with deeply permeating belts of frost make essential maintenance of high internal ground temperatures possible. Contrasting conditions of temperature come into being, creating stress in the ground. Water will be forced upwards by an extremely simple process of densation. Not by densation, not gravity. Oh shit, my bad. Which in spring necessarily intensifies in the process of rising. In summer, it is the turn of properly graduated forest, which through its low ground temperatures retains water closer to the surface, thereby maintaining nutrients in proximity to a naturalesque distribution of root systems. Up to now, the forestry industry has regrettably paid no attention to this process of nature. Through the very antithesis of proper management practices, clear felling operations, reduction in potential differences in the ground inevitably occurs through the break in forest cover, which also results in water sinking instead of an increase in cultivatable land. A decrease ensues as a direct consequence of such systems of forest management. Instead of these systems building up the forest, this primary and most important precondition for culture, they qualitatively mismanage it to death. The main reason for our cultural decline are contemporary administration of forest resources, centralized in large industrial complexes, which is not only self-destructive, but also destroys other cultivatable land. 2. Totally faulty river regulation and torrent confinement. And 3. Misguided and arbitrary management of the hydroelectric power industry. Forest management. That sounds wild to me, man. I could see a park ranger maybe to check on things, but now you got forest management. Just another money grab. I remember, real quick, before I read and we're going to start with the dying forest next, real quick. I'll probably read another couple pages, but I remember seeing a video of this young man was in one of these state parks. He went on, they allegedly weren't supposed to leave the trail for any means, which is stupid. I thought this is America, man. Kid picked up a stick and he got fined $500 for picking up a fucking stick and taking it. America's turning real fucking weak. It's ridiculous. I would have took that ticket, wiped my ass, and slapped him with it. All right. The dying forest. It actually has a this isn't dying forest, and actually it's like a chapter. For decades, vigorous generations of young trees once lived in equable conditions of temperature, humidity, and illumination under the protection of mother trees in healthy natural forests, untouched by humanity and its science. It was only through the death of the mother trees that the majority of the young tree population, having meanwhile coming of age, were able to attain the enjoyment of direct light and heat. In other words, not before the period of infancy had passed, a period during which trees react to extreme environmental conditions with very wide annual rings. I'm going to pull this picture up for you guys. Hold up. I mean, it's not like you haven't seen this before, but hey, if you haven't seen this before, well, you're in trouble. My what? No. What? No. What? Bam. Bam. Do 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 do. What? Hold on, my landlord. Man, they're gonna turn our water off, yo. About to buzz someone's head. Alright, here comes the picture. Here comes the picture. Oh, wait. No. And just boot me. What's up, drop? Hold on. Let me drop the link. I'll probably just end it there anyway, and I'll pick up tomorrow with or unless I could find if it'll send this picture maybe. Man, my stomach is alright. I need this. Oh. All right, let's try this again. All right, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, it says, oh, why isn't it sending it? That's the question. Oh, that's why it ain't sending it, because Chuck didn't put the internet on. Is anyone slow? How many Polacks does it take to turn the internet on? What's good, Drop? Who else came in? Dom, loud and clear. All right. Now I sent the picture. All right, now I got the picture. I would have had it a minute ago. I did all this for this stupid picture right here. The rings of a tree, but what it's trying to show is the far, like the bigger and the rings are and more separate is it says right here, the young tree population having meanwhile come of age were able to attain the enjoyable of direct light and heat. In other words, not before the period of infancy had passed, a period during which trees react to extreme environmental conditions with very wide annual rings. The naturally ordained increase in light and heat not only promotes well-balanced further development, but also gives a necessary and beneficial impetus to reproduction. It is to be emphasized that under these conditions, the trunk itself will still remain shielded from direct sunlight, and only the crown of the tree will be exposed. The enormous importance attaching to this sequence of events will become apparent in what follows. It says a 33-year-old plantation tree showing wide annual rings in early years, gradually narrowing due to the shielding of its companion trees. The rings expand again abruptly once this protection has been removed. The forester, who naturally could not fail to notice the phenomenon of so-called light-induced growth, saw in this the possibility for the scientific manipulation of growth and the opportunity it offered him to correct nature. Yeah, like that, like nature needs us to correct it. More or less, nature needs us to just get the fuck out of here, and then nature can thrive. But until then, we're like parasites, just fucking Mother Earth up. Not not all of us, but even if contrary to the natural order, he advanced new, and in his option, better and more appropriate. Oh, what? Hold on. In his option. Am I bugging? Man, I'm bugging. Oh, and the opportunity offered him to correct nature. Even in contrary to the natural order, he advanced new, and in his opinion, better and more appropriate laws. For his new plantation forests, he exploited this factor at the very moment when a young tree reacts to an excess of light and heat with lateral expansion. With excessive growth of its annual rings. Furthermore, by concentrating the areas of work, this newly adopted method now made clear, felling and a supposedly more rational management possible. even when the system was first introduced, the disappearance of certain types of understory was already evident. This was not perceived as a disadvantage, however, but rather as an advantage, because the unnecessary overconsumption of the soil's water and nutrients by unprofitable undergrowth was thus averted. Inevitably, this new system of forestry also caused premature exposure to the elements of frost sensitivity. Shade-demanding species of timber, the pine, for example, which under natural process of regeneration congregate under the protection of old trees. If a large number of these young trees subsequently die of frost, then as a result, the remainder exhibit an increase in light-induced growth that almost leaps to the eye. However, the annual rings put on by pines due to this sudden exposure are often centimeter wide and produce a spongy timber of inferior consistency at these locations. After telling an even and standing timber, it often splits in an annular fashion, producing ring shakes. In the process of drying out, these spongy sections do not contract in the same way as healthily grown timber, and its commercial use is naturally out of the question. The pernicious effects of this well-known ring shake. Wow. I think it says proninus. Wow. I've never seen this word in my life. Somebody let me know. Peace, son on Yahweh. This word right here. It looks like proninus, but I don't know. Oops. Look at this word. Proninus of pine, and the internal sickening it creates are transmitted to the rising generation, which is badly mistreated too. On qualitative grounds alone, this must lead, even if imperceptibly, to the slow but sure dying out of this species of timber, a species that is necessary for the whole existence of the forest in those regions where pine grows naturally. The decline of the pine, which the forester the whole existence of the forest, the decline of the pines, which the forester cannot fail to see, could be tolerated in his view, because the pine produces an inferior wood, not especially sought after commercially, which can be far better replaced by spruce or fir. This opinion, however, is a common and unfortunately even more far-reaching misconception than the previously mentioned light-induced growth, which must lead to the extinction of certain species of timber, based as it is on unhealthy methods of regeneration. It is well known that the most qualitatively valuable timber to be found in our region, Austria, so-called resonant timber, disappeared almost overnight when the principles of scientific forest management were introduced. This timber was rarely to be found even in primeval forest, not merely dependent on the very extensive protection of the mother tree. It could only grow in rough-like depressions under extremely sheltered environmental conditions, where it was immune to all outside influence. Here, in really poor soil conditions, it grows up in deep shade under precisely the opposite conditions to those created by contemporary systems of forestry. In contrast to the timber growth, rapidly using modern methods, this slow-growing timber exhibits annual rings that can barely be distinguished by the naked eye. Moreover, its organic structure displays a truly remarkable uniformity. Resonant timber, such as hazel, spruce, and silver fir, is mainly used in the manufacture of musical instruments. The marvelous tone color of the instruments made from such wood. The Stradivarius fashioned his famous violins with it. And that's a really good violin, Stradivarius. Very expensive. And it sounds really good. I played the violin, but I didn't have one of those. I had a cardboard violin. I'm joking. I had a cheap one though. All right. This is not only indecisive of the healthiest and therefore the most natural growth and development, but also of an almost unlimited durability. If we now compare the structure of the timber produced by modern forestry with the high quality timber, now almost legendary in our indigenous forests, then the first time we become fully conscious of the well-nigh irretrievable loss we have suffered, largely through the failure to appreciate the facts of the matter cited above. In answer to possible objections that the other great advantages accruing, whatever that means, accruing from modern forest management cannot be sacrificed merely for the sake of a few rare resonant timbers. It is to be stressed that the above example was only used to highlight the qualitative differences between naturally and artificially grown and regenerated timber. In the very near future, the increasingly noticeable deterioration in the quality of timber from decade to decade and the escalating problems of extending the upper limits of plantation on steep southerly slopes should indeed provoke an urgent question. Is it, for the sake of relatively poor quality, light-induced growth, actually worth accepting the catastrophic loss in quality already evident after barely a century's operation of modern forestry, and therefore to put the very existence of our high forest at risk through such practices? A more detailed study and above all a return to natural processes, which will become all more urgent in the near future, will reveal that the forest is not merely an object for exploitation, but an absolutely indispensable precondition for all forms of cultivation, particularly in mountain areas. Also, ever-increasing social privation is the result of the current destruction of the forest. What therefore appeared to be a great advantage at first view, indeed a real scientific achievement, in practice reveals itself as a perhaps totally irremediable disadvantage, a cultural decline. The forester believed he could outdo nature. What he achieved was the death and extinction of certain species of timber through the untimely application of a physical influence, sunlight, unknown in its actual effects, through the forester's erroneous conduct of affairs outlined above. Sunlight affects the structure of the timber and hence its organic development in the most detrimental fashion imaginable. The gross errors of contemporary clear felling methods, unfortunately, have even graver consequences, which will now be addressed in greater detail. And I'm going to end it there because I will. That's another 11 pages today. What's good, son on Yahweh? What up, G's? What up? Damn. What happened to me background? Yeah. Get on the ground, dude. Fuck that. The thin blue swine is at it again. I can't stand the thin blue swine of trash. Cops are worthless, man. They're fucking worthless. So let's see what is good. Now I'm opening the panel. I'm opening the panel. It's pretty much an open topic discussion. That book that I'm reading, it's bugged out, man. Like, the guy sometimes is all over the place. He should have put that book in chapters instead of just, I don't know, maybe it is in chapters and I just got a shitty version. I'm gonna look. Shit. You know, when I'm reading about them cutting down the forests, I've seen hundreds of thousands of pictures of these foresters who, even in Florida, I'm going to get a picture of this tree that was famous in Florida, but they had huge trees that, you know, now there's only a few of them left, but mostly small versions. But these trees were fucking huge, big as hell, and they cut them all down. Same thing with spruces and sycamore and all this stuff, man. It's like people get mad when Mother Earth is fucked up. Like now, I could only imagine how much they dumped in the ocean, right? These ships. I just seen the Somali pirates. I seen a video that these ships are creating ways where Somali pirates can't climb aboard. Well, maybe they wouldn't climb aboard if you would stop dumping poison off the coast of where they fish. Same thing, we need to do something about, well, I ain't going to say we, because most people just don't really give a fuck. And if they do, it's very few, but because actually, you know what? Shit's gonna hit the fan real soon. When the dollar crashes, which is, who knows, probably this summer, I try to tell people this about the trumpet being blown. And I showed the magazine they just put out with Trump holding the dollar bill burning, right? And he's letting it go into the money he's standing on. So, look, the signs are there. I know Trump did a couple good things, but I don't trust none of them. And who knows what's to come? You know, how do people know that what's his name? The guy with the Doge. I always forget his name, man. Elon Musk. I heard that he got mad because Trump is creating a bill that's gonna completely crash the system, and it pissed him off because Elon had a better idea, but Trump's gonna go with the one he has, which Elon said is gonna crash the system, which I already knew was coming because Trump's symbology, trumpet, right? It's in the Bible too. The when God blows the trumpet, I mean, what God are they talking about, right? Not the true creator, that's for sure. They're talking about their God, gold, oil, and drugs. So, yep, trumpet, Mr. Trumpet. You know, all these people that voted for Trump, this guy went around and we're interviewing people that he interviewed beforehand. They were all Trump, Trump. Now they're like, fuck Trump, right? It's funny. Yep. It's what happens, though, man. It's what happens when people depend on the Savior instead of us solving the problems ourselves. Damn, bro. I gotta get some more people in here, man. Get this chat pumping and fucking get some people on the panel, man. This shit is fucking lame and boring right now. Ah, shit. I need that air on, boy. It's like fucking 90 degrees outside. Well, the panel's open. Y'all want to hit the link, hit it. If not, then don't. But I know what I'm gonna do. So that's that. You want to hit the link, Yahweh, son? You can. Talk about whatever. I am going to slap a Jew. Ah, shit. I left off on page 65. So I read 53 and 65. It's 12 pages, even though I skipped like 4 of them because they were definitions. Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. Hold on. I forgot I had to set up too. A bunch of pictures. Damn, should I do it on my laptopper? Or should I do it on the phone? Maybe the laptopper would be better, eh? Like a Canadian would say, eh? Hey, dude. Hey. You know, I get it now how Canadian, it's because Canadians are the British and French left over from this alleged war, right? Now I get why a lot of Canadians don't like America. Look at this guy. I forgot his name, but he's throwing up the Crip sign for sure. I think he's a I think he's a neighborhood Crip, or he's a 8-tray gangster Crip. Yup. Look at his dome piece, yo. His head looks like a fucking dick with a condom on. This cat got a elongated dome piece. His head looks like my pinky. What's his name? Put this up on his channel yesterday. Jared Jaguar, which is, I do the lemon water. I've tried aloe vera. I've tried that with water. I've done ginseng with water, or ginger. I gotta try it. I heard cucumbers and water is real good. Honey and water? Nah, I'd rather eat it straight up. And turmeric. I use a lot of turmeric in food, man, like rice, cumin, all that stuff that parasites don't like. But let's get to Christopher Columbus throwing up that W. West Side. West Side. Hold on, I'm gonna get them all the pictures where they're throwing it up. The West Side. Here's Tesla's oscillator, man. I'm telling you, we must make oscillators. It'll keep you young. Now, I screenshotted this from Bro Sanchez because it reminds me of the video. I've seen a few videos this year, and them orbs are showing up, and people were like, you see how the helicopter is with the UFO there? People are like, oh, it's chasing the UFO. No, it's not. It's escorting it. The UFOs are not fucking aliens. It's government crafts, man. I have pictures of Navy boats with UFOs on them, and the UFO is a fucking Navy. It says U.S. Navy on it, or Air Force sticker. Sorry, that's what it had. Yeah. This technology is nothing new, man. If people want to get technical, the Germans had flying saucers, fleets of them. People don't know the United States funded both sides of the war. People don't know 98% of these wars, the U.S. funded both sides. I got to get these videos. One was recently put out where a jet was following an orb, and it clicked in my mind. I said, "Nah, man, these jets and helicopters are not chasing down. They're literally accompanying them, escorting them to make sure everything's all right." Not once have you ever seen any military craft shoot down a fucking drone or a UFO or even try, if there's such a fucking threat, what's the problem? Shoot them down. Fuck the excuses. And two, why don't we shoot them down? I screenshotted one of these UFOs that fell. Let's see, where is it? It reminds me right here. And Bro Sanchez just so happened to have the same picture. I screenshotted this from, I think it was, what's his name that I watch? Anyway, it don't matter. Jamie, not Jamie, fucking, that's his name, Jamie, but this is a picture of one of the spheres that fell. I think these things glow and all that because, you know, what if these were the stars, right? What if stars were made up of a bunch of these floating up there, creating a frequency and sound in the waters above? That's why the stars are falling from the sky above. But I think I'm pretty much wrong on that. You know, when I look at the stars, they remind me of the sound in water. I honestly just don't see stars as being a solid object. Now, maybe the sun is one of these. And I say that because when you use a camera, right? Every time I see some of these cameras, there's a black dot in the center of the sun, like a little orb. And it makes me wonder, is the sun a Tesla, like a wireless Tesla coil? But nah, it couldn't be because the energy was different on a Tesla coil. But it's something, man. I don't think. And I don't get why on the camera it would show a black ball in the center of the sun if it wasn't solid. People don't believe me, I'm gonna screenshot it the next time I catch it on someone's camera. But yeah. I need that other picture of Hitler. I think Hitler is another one that threw up the W. Wow. You gotta be kidding me. I knew he was throwing it up in the picture, man. I know it somewhere. Fake bastard. Hitler's an ugly duck. Kicked that mustache off his lip. This is wild because damn, this is about to fall out the window. I know Hitler's got a picture like this. I just can't find it. Huh. I wonder how I can Yep, I got it. This cheap piece of shit. Who is this guy? I don't know this guy. But here's another piece of shit. These guys are deep in their gang. West side till I die. West side. Oh my God, I won't take a loss. I just smacked Jesus off that fucking cross. Ding, ding, ding. Yo, that was disrespecting. This cat's throwing up a W2. Yo, this gang is deep, son. I want to be down for the crown. El Greco. Hey, I looking for El Greco. Anyone? 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 El Greco? Alright. Guess not. I can't find Shitler though. But I got some more culprits. I found El Greco. Man, you guys are boring today, man. Man. You know, it's sad that this country got played. I was telling one of my friends about Michelle, aka Michael Obama. Now they're trying to play damage control and say those pictures were altered, which is a crock of shit. But yeah, even Tupac was down. Look, you got Tupac, and then you got Columbus, West Side, and then you got all his minions here. I don't know who these people are, but they're down. Yo, the last guy on the right looks like from the Jefferson show. Move it on up. Tell me I don't look like him a little bit. Yeah, that's his brother. Yo, that's Jefferson's brother. I'm losing my mind. And this guy's throwing it up a little bit. He's like, I'm down too, yo. And then you got this clown. Look at his hair, yo. What's he pointing to? I dropped my bundle. Can you pick it up? Oh shit, he's trying to put his hand in the jacket. This guy looks funny with his furry neck. He looks like a seal. Look at this lame. He's throwing it up heavy. Yep. Hey. Oh, what the happened? Yo. Oh, oops. West Side? So, all jokes aside, though, I seriously want to know what this means with all these people. Now, I watched some of Jay Dreamers. Shout out to Jay Dreamers. I don't know him, and I'm sure as hell no he don't watch my stuff. But shout out to him anyway, because I've been watching Jay Dreamers for a long time. Because he's like one of the few people that dive deep into like Masonic stuff, which is awesome. And he's pretty good. He's accurate too. But he was talking about this and how it's the triple V. See, they didn't add that in with the thumb. Or the W, which is two U's, but it's really the double V. And let me change this picture. That's not good. And it's going over the heart too on some of these people. I've seen one woman throw it up, and that is Mother Mary. All respects to Mother Murray. Yeah. All right. Think Sir dropped left. What's up, Bex? Yeah. What's it, 5 people in here? Yeah, I'll probably jump off at 2 o'clock if people don't come up. I'm just gonna end it. Yeah, today's reading sucked, kinda. Because there's too many spaces, but it's all good. I should have taken this book and read it, like I did the other books. But, damn it, I forgot again, there's no fucking chapters. Damn. Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot. Let's see, I'll start right here. I should use... Oh. Bam! Look at this shit. I seen this, it bugged me out. This cat literally cut. Are these the skinwalkers? Come on. Ancient foundations. Now, I don't know about Egypt. My cat don't like air conditioners. She's funny. You're scared of everything. My cat is scared of anything. Hmm.